Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares. Welcome back to the Fangoria Movie Challenge. Now, this is the segment I've been doing with my good buddy Joe the Horror Man, where we're not only going to watch, but also review all 101 movies Fangoria thinks we should have seen. Today, we're going to be talking about Deranged. Deranged is also called Confessions of a Necrophile, and it is a 1974 film which runs approximately 82 minutes and is directed by Jeff Gillen, who passed away on June 27, 1995 at the age of 52. And it's also directed by Alan Ormsby. Now, he was responsible for Popcorn and The Great Masquerade. Now, this stars Roberts Blossom as Ezra Cobb. He passed away on July 8th, 2011 at the age of 87. He was in Escape from Alcatraz, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Home Alone. This also stars Cosette Lee as Ma Cobb. She passed away on September 19th, 1976 at the age of 66. She was in The First Time, The Shore, and Change of Mind. And Leslie Carlson as Tom Sims. He passed away on May 3rd, 2014 at the age of 81. He was in Videodrome, The Dead Zone, and The Fly. Now, the budget on this film was $200,000, and of course this is based on the story of Ed Gein. And the film was banned in Boston for violence. I don't know why it was banned in Boston, but that's what they said. Okay, this is going to be a very simple one to explain, especially for horror fans. This is basically the story of Ed Gein. The story of, in this case, Ezra Cobb, who loses his mother, and she was basically his everything. He's unable to deal with the fact that his mother is gone, so he digs her up and talks to her and keeps her around the house. He also starts digging up other people who are recently deceased after he hears that there's actually obituaries in the paper, because he didn't know that. So he digs up other people who are recently deceased in order to replace parts of his mother that have rotted. Now, it's a little hard to explain. He actually keeps the other bodies around too, but it's a little hard to explain Ezra Cobb or Ed Gein. In most of the movies that I've seen, he seems like a very polite, very respectful person who is mentally ill. Now, we consider him to be one of the biggest monsters ever in the history of the United States, or probably in the history of anywhere. But today, in today's society, as Joe put it, he would probably have a parade thrown for him and a billboard put up, because that's the type of world we live in now. I didn't really want to do social commentary, but when he said that last night, it kind of struck me as being true. I know mental illness is nothing to be ashamed about, but I don't know, it just seems like he would end up being a martyr these days. Anyway, Ed Gein, or Ezra Cobb, however you want to call him in this, likes to eat his victims and also wear their skin, because of course he learned about this by fixing places on his mother. It's an interesting story. It's been a while since I've seen this, probably a good maybe 10 years since I've seen this movie. It had a lot more comedy than I remember, which is a nice turn from the horrors that this movie depicts. And Joe and I had a lot of fun watching it. I definitely recommend this. I mean, Joe was kind of right when I was talking to him. He said that Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of stole this movie's thunder, and I do agree with him with that. Now, granted, I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this is a movie worth watching. If you watch the Ed Gein movie, the biography movie that they did a while back, it's not all that different. So they got a lot of the parts right. And of course, in the beginning of the film, they say this movie is based on a true story. Everything is absolutely true. But one of the things I thought was really cool about this film that you really don't see nowadays is it had a narrator that kind of stepped in parts, kind of breaking the fourth wall and telling you about things that were happening in the film or things that were happening in Ezra Cobb's life at the time. And I thought that was pretty neat. Kind of reminded me of like Legend of Boggy Creek and The Town That Dreaded Sundown, The Evictors, stuff like that. Only this person actually stepped into the scene, which is pretty cool. It lightened the mood. So that and the comedy, I think, is a good blend for a movie that shows atrocity. So, the atrocities of man. I'm going to pair this up with a movie that I am quite fond of, and that really doesn't spare on the atrocities of man, and that is The Eyes of My Mother. Now, I watched this again. I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of things I could have recommended for Deranged, but this movie, for some reason, always came to my mind first when I decided I wanted to pick something a little different. So I watched it again, like I said, just to make sure that it was something that fit, and it does fit, big time. Only difference is, instead of Ezra Cobb or Ed Gein, this is a woman, and it's a brutal, beautifully shot, very well made film. Check out Deranged, Confessions of a Necrophile. Check out The Eyes of My Mother, and don't forget to check out Joe's review and see what he picked. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.